Hello everyone and welcome to an unusual video but yet another tutorial video in my channel. And in today's video in today's tutorial I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a moving spaceship in a spatially game. So in this tutorial I'm actually going to be recreating a game that I already have designed. I'm just going to have to retrace my steps, but this video will be split into many videos because if I do this all in one video, it'll take like an hour. So let's jump in, shall we? So as soon as you start Game Maker 2, you will need to create a new file, and then in today's tutorial, you're gonna have to select drag and drop because I'm assuming that all of you have no idea what the Game Maker language is. And if you do know the Game Maker languages, then I assume that you don't need this tutorial because um because all I know is the drag and drop command. So you're gonna have to select drag and drop, and then if you click it, it'll ask you to name your file. And but I'm not going to be clicking this. I'm just going to be clicking the project that I already have set up right here. This is going to be like the workspace for my tutorial. So as you start, all this stuff right here is not there, but completely disregard this because we won't be needing this at all. So anyway, so as soon as you start your new file, you'll be presented with a room. And then if you double click this, you'll be sent over here. This is what the game will actually look like as soon as you start it up. Because the room is where all the stuff happens. It can be the title screen, or it can be where, all the action goes down. So for now, we're going to be disregarding the room. We're gonna address it later on. So, in order to make a spaceship move, you actually need a spaceship. So, we're going to make a sprite for the spaceship, aka basically the sprite is what your stuff will look like. And in this case, we're going to be designing the sprite for the spaceship. So, you can import an image from your saved images, or you can just make your own right now. And yes, I'm going to be making my own. And further disclaimer, I suck at it, okay? But for now, I'm going to make everything as simple as possible. So, right, we I'm just designing this triangle because this is actually what my spaceship looks like in the project in the game that I already made. So, it kind of looks like that, but not exactly. But but I assure you, I know it looks bad, but I'm just going for simplicity for now. And you can always go back and edit the sprite of your spaceship. You can easily do that. And for now, we have this really simple design. Please do not judge me. Anyway, so we have the sprite setup. So don't forget to name it as well. So for now, I'm gonna name it SPR player so that it is organized and easy to find. And before we go, if you see this gray cross that follows you around, that's the origin point of the sprite. Now I don't know much about this, but all I know is that you have to put it right in the middle of your sprite. And yeah, it doesn't have to be in the really very middle, but it has to be like somewhere around here, the sprite that you drew on. So now that we have that, we are going to navigate around this. You can actually scroll up and down to see there will be more like windows popping up because this is just the sprite window, but we're also going to be about to edit the make the object like the actual spaceship so that it can interact with other things and so that you can also interact with it. Now, in order to make navigation easier, I suggest you turn this on, the laptop mode, because your only way of navigation is by scrolling up and down and by holding the scroll button so that you can scroll around like that. But with laptop mode on, you can actually move around by holding down the alt button like that, And you can zoom in and out by holding down the control button. If you move your mouse up, you zoom in, and if you move your mouse down, you zoom out. And I'm stuck. Alright, one moment please. Alright, there we go. So if you do that, you zoom in and you zoom out. Now it kind of gets complicated when you put your mouse over here because it's it scrolls, it moves around the spaceship instead. But if you want to navigate around the windows, just make sure you have enough space so that you put your mouse outside so you can freely scroll around. Now, enough of that, and let's go to objects. So you right click over here and then you press create object. And then we're gonna name this obj underscore player. Now we're gonna select the sprite that we made so that it will look like that. And now here comes the part where we actually program in the movements of the player. So this is what the game looks like right now. In order to place your player inside the game, you're going to drag the actual object and then place the player right here. I'm placing the player right here because I'm designing this space shooting game in a way so that the player, instead of being right here and then moving left and right, the player will instead be right here and then be moving up and down. That's what my plan is. So we go to the workspace and then you click on add event. You go down to key down and then you go to the down button. So you basically add event, key down, and down button. Basically, we're going to program what will happen if you press the down arrow key on your keyboard. Now this is where all the drag and drop stuff comes into play. Disregard all this stuff and follow what I do. So you go down here to movement, to the section of movement, and then you drag and drop the jump to point thing right here. So now it it has x and y coordinates, and I'll briefly summarize what the x and y coordinates are in this room. So the 0, 0 point, aka the origin of this room, is right about here in this corner, basically right here. I can't pinpoint it right now, but it's right about here. So if you go down, the y-axis increases, and if you go right, the x-axis increases. So vice versa too. So if you go up, the y-axis decreases, and if you go left, the x-axis decreases. So for the x-axis, we're going to put it as 0 because we're not moving left and right, we're actually moving up and down. So since we're holding down the the down arrow key, we want the player to move down. So for the y, we're going to put 8 or anything. The bigger the number you put, the faster the player moves. But for now, we're gonna settle with 8. And make sure this is checked, because if it doesn't, then you're gonna run into some technical difficulties. So now we have that in. We're going to add another event. So we have key down, and this time we're gonna select the up key, the up arrow key, and this time we'll do the same thing, basically the movement, drag the same thing. Still the x-axis remains at 0, but this time, since we're moving up, we're decreasing in y-axis, so we're actually going to be putting -8, not underscore 8, but -8. So whatever you put on the down key, which in this case 8, I suggest that you put in the negative variant of that number, which in this case will be -8. Now this the spaceship can actually move, but first make sure everything is checked right here. The relative, you'll see why. You'll be able to see for yourself if you don't check it, because we can actually have a test run of that game by pressing this play button right here. So as soon as I press that and give it a couple of seconds, it will, alright, it'll show us this window right here. And now here's the player and here's the room. As you can see, the room is pitch black and everything. And if I press down, the player moves down. And if I press up, the player moves up. See, we have already programmed how to move the player up and down. And that's just a part of it. And so this is going to be the end of the first tutorial, how to program the movement of the player. In the next episode, we're going to be tackling how to shoot bullets. And yeah, this video is actually getting pretty long. So anyways, you guys, I will see you guys on the next episode.